Hey crew, I've got the key to that 24 Audi S8. We are going to take it for a drive, but first, let's check out how it looks on the inside and outside. There are no visual changes to the 24 S8, but there is now a remote start feature via app. That means the hexagonal grille is unchanged. In this alu optic trim, you can get it blacked out if you prefer. There's a small S8 badge off to the side. At the corners are functional vents to the heat exchangers. Above are projector LED headlights with LED DRLs and turn signals. This car is painted in district green metallic. I love this color. I think it looks great with the silver trim. And at the side, with the executive package, there's an upgrade from the 20-inch wheels to these 21s, but they have more of an A8 vibe to me than S8, not quite as sporty as I'd like. They're wrapped in Goodyear Eagle F1 summer tires, 265 section front and rear. Within those wheels are enormous red painted calipers clamping on vented discs. There's more silver trim down low on the door mirrors and window trim. The profile shows off this car's 17.4 foot length. Look at the size of those rear doors, and the air suspension is sitting in the dynamic ride height. Then around back, there's an LED light bar connecting the taillights and sequential turn signals. That's above an S8 badge. Down low is a silver painted diffuser with 4 chrome exhaust ports. The sheer size of the S8 is a visual impact, but the design is definitely subdued. My question is whether the subtlety is just right or if it's too plain. Let me know in the comments, and let's check out the interior. Opening up, and as I do so, the Predictive air suspension raises up a few inches to allow for an easier entry point to this Cognac Brown Leather interior with diamond stitch quilting and perforations. With the rear seat comfort package, you get heating, ventilation, and massage. There are 2 sunroofs. The rear doors get leather up top, carbon fiber trim, gloss black around the seat controls with memory, diamond stitched Alcantara inserts, leather padding for your armrest with a small storage cubby, and rear window sun blinds, including for that back glass. And this is very beneficial not just for keeping passengers cool while the vehicle is in motion, but also even when the vehicle's parked, it just makes it not as hot when you step into it. There's carbon fiber down here, injection molding, and an optional Bang & Olufsen advanced sound system. Stepping in is so very easy to do with that raised suspension. More carbon fiber here behind the seat. In my seating position at 6 feet tall, with my back against the seat, I can't even reach the back of the seat. There's so much legroom. Foot pockets are big to slide my feet under. Thigh support is good. In fact, the seat cushioning could even be a little longer. Headroom for myself is terrific. That gets the thumbs up, and these headrests are super cushy. In the middle are just air vents and deploying DC outlets. Interesting. There's a big drive shaft hump, but it's not often you'll have a middle passenger. More often, you'll bring down the armrest with its deploying cup holders and its carbon fiber sides and a screen to control everything that you want, from your seats to your ambient lighting, the blinds, the radio, and your climate control. There we are. Seat controls are here under the leather-topped armrest. We've got storage and 2 USB-C ports, and when you return it, it does so gently. The rear digs would not be complete without rear vanity mirrors. Hello. Very nice back here. Let's check out the front next. There's no need to slam any of the S8's doors closed because there is a soft close function, but if you wanted to hear the build quality, ooh, then there'd be a very satisfying thud. Smart keyless entry is for the rear and front doors. The front seats gain some lateral bolstering and S logos on the seat backs. Like the rears, they're heated, they're ventilated, and they're massaging. You've got these aluminum S tread plates, aluminum accented foot pedals. The front doors look very much like the back, but with more carbon fiber trim. You've got 2 positions of memory here, power adjusting and power folding door mirrors, and down low is your powered trunk release. And inside is my tennis bag that I forgot about. There's 13 cubic feet of space. It's big, but it's not cavernous like some competitors. And you can't fold down the rear seats, but you do get that pass-through. A power close and lock function is found on the trunk lid. Working my way back into the driver's seat and closing up that door softly. Drivers are greeted by a heated leather-wrapped steering wheel, perforations at 9 and 3. Feels great in the hands. It's not too thick in diameter, which is appropriate for this vehicle. Aluminum paddles on the back. There are some controls in gloss black, but they're not touch. They're physical inputs, which I appreciate. The digital gauge cluster is reconfigurable. There's no head-up display, shockingly, even as equipped. There's leather on the dashboard. You have to option on the head-up display. Carbon fiber trim here around the air vents, which do deploy when the vehicle turns on. Gloss black on the passenger side with a Quattro badge. Here is the top of the two screens. This one is your infotainment system. You've got all your apps in here, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The bottom screen is primarily dedicated to climate controls, and while these are touch, they do have haptic feedback so you know your message has been received. It's less distracting while driving. There's also a physical volume knob here, lots of gloss black, some carbon fiber around the gear selector, but this stuff is going to smudge and scratch and collect dust. Inside, we've got two small cup holders and a DC outlet under the individually opening armrests. We've got a little bit of storage with two USB-C ports. Visibility is excellent out of this S8, and there's standard blind spot monitoring with rear cross traffic. This cabin is $142,000 as tested, but for that, you're getting massive quantities of luxury tech and style. Now we need to see how the S8 drives. All right, let's fire it up. A pulsing of the air from the V8, followed by the tweeters and the air vents presenting themselves to me like royalty. Is this what you want, Your Majesty? And I say, yes, that's just fine, thank you. All right, drive mode. I'm going to select that here on the screen after I sign away my life. And there we go. We've got Auto, Dynamic, Comfort Plus, and a customizable individual mode. I'm going to begin in Comfort Plus, come back here, because if there's a plus offered next to Comfort, you'd better select it. You better try it out. To go into reverse, I press in and click forward on the gear selector. That presents a high-resolution camera system. I can watch this gentleman slowly come into screen and then pass through. There's also trajectory lines. I've got the bird's eye view, and I've got a 3D projection. Can scan around the entire exterior. There he is. There he goes again. Along with other camera angles, forward-facing, wide-angle, rear-facing, rear angle, wheel shots as well. I love the rear wide-angle view because if I've got cars parked next to me, I can kind of see around them. Don't want any accidents to happen in this very expensive sedan. Backing on out of here. Then clicking down into drive. And away we go. I'm going to kick things off with the world-famous horn test. Let's try it out. That sounds posh. It sounds elevated over your pedestrian horns. Now let's listen to the signal sound. That just sounds like a normal signal. That's fine. What's not normal is this 4-liter twin-turbo V8 powertrain that has a 48-volt mild hybrid system accompanying it. The power output is 563 horses and 590 pound-feet of torque. That is routed through an 8-speed automatic transmission to all 4 tires. Of course, it's got the Quattro all-wheel drive system. And I mentioned the 48-volt mild hybrid. That's not there for power. It's just there for efficiency. It's going to run the electronics of the vehicle, including the air conditioning system. And that's great because unlike most vehicles with start-stop systems, right now that is turned on, so the engine is off. I still get cold air pushed on me, not just outside air temperature air because of the mild hybrid system. And that's great, but I still find myself wanting to turn off the start-stop system. Thankfully, there's a control right there for that, because the way it works in this vehicle is it shuts off the motor as you're coasting up to a stoplight, ideally just kind of giving you that extra efficiency, I suppose, and making for a smooth arrival at the light. Unfortunately, however, if it is going to go green again and you have to go back to the throttle, it's going to re-engage the gearbox, and doing so when a vehicle's already in motion creates a lurching forward and backward experience. And I don't like that. I don't think many Audi S8 owners would. So I think that if they can afford this $142,000 car, they can probably afford the modicum of extra fuel that's used by having the start-stop system turned off. Thankfully, in motion, the S8 is just a delight. The 8-speed automatic gearbox is ultra smooth, and when the start-stop is off, just using those brakes to calmly, gracefully arrive at that light, and then as it did so, just right there, went green, I went back to the throttle, and there was no such lurching to be found The 8-speed just kind of moves through the gears in the background. And even though I'm in the Comfort Plus drive mode and the throttle response is more relaxed, there's still such a bevy of power here that I just arrive at whatever speed I want to achieve effortlessly. It's like the S8 is just stretching and you get to that speed. And what an experience it is to be in a cabin like this with scenery like that, just floating on down the roadway. As for these seats, they're quite good. Lots of adjustability. I've got plenty of headroom for myself. The power adjusting tilt and telescope of the wheel means there's a great driving posture, but the padding is a little on the firm side, such that, you know, a 30, 45 minute commute, no issue at all. But if it's gonna be an hour or longer, my legs and my bottom start to get a bit numb and I just get a little twitchy and I want to get out of the seat. I wish they just had a little more cushion for me. Now let's test out this turning radius, which takes this massive motor car and makes it pivot around like a compact sedan with the rear wheel steering system coming into play. And moving on to the ride quality, this predictive air suspension is, yes, adaptive, but more than that, it scans the road ahead to monitor for road blemishes and primes the suspension to absorb them once it arrives at those. And so you just have this floating sensation over, I want to say 95% of circumstances. It's like parental controls. Like the kids know there's the world going on around there. I know there's the road happening and not being perfect, but I'm kept from that. And that's how the suspension system works. There is only a couple situations where the suspension has a limit, and when the imperfection is too much, it honestly doesn't feel like it does anything. It just goes, well, I can't deal with that. It's very harsh. It crashes over those imperfections. But again, that's just a real fringe case. Most of the time, you're just really enjoying how you're motoring around town. Now we need to see how this S8 gets to 60. In preparation for a real-world 0 to 60 test, I've got my race box set up here to record. I'm going to move into the dynamic drive mode, and then I'm going to turn traction into sport stability control. There's not really a formal launch control system in the S8, so I'll hold my foot on the brake, pin the throttle, build up the revs, then let go of the brake. Here we go. Holding, building, letting go. The floor mat can't handle the G-force. And we're at 60 in 3.80 seconds. That is wild. Starting on a slight uphill, just crazy. A little slower than Audi's estimate of 3.7, but I've seen 3.5 in the same situation. And you know it can be quicker on a flat portion. That is tremendous, the punch from this motor delivered to all 4 tires. Now from a roll, again on a slight uphill, not doing this car any favors here. Just gonna put my foot down. Oh my gosh. Oh, just fired out of a cannon, this thing. Took a little bit to build up, then it just ravished the road. Okay, now manual mode, clicking that over, using these plasticky paddles. I thought they were aluminum, but they really feel like plastic. Decently quick downshift. Does upshift for me. I wanted to see if it would do it, and it did. I didn't pull the paddle, it just upshifted on its own. But let's try that once more. Pulling it a little early. What the heck? This is a rocket. I can't believe how this thing picks up momentum. Wouldn't mind slightly quicker shifts and definitely would appreciate full manual control. But the upshifts are quick, and the car is a monster. I love the noises it's making too. You can hear those compressors churning away, and then there's that undertone of V8 rumble. Wouldn't mind a little more volume, but the quality of the sound is just terrific. It's so stinking fast. I'll give the brakes and suspension a workout next, carrying speed into this curve before diving deep into that brake pedal. Nice response. Oh my gosh, didn't expect braking like that. Turn in is quick. Am I gonna get understeer or, oh my goodness. The S8 rotates the back end. Did not see that coming. Oh my gosh. Instead of it just plowing the nose, it brought the back end around beautifully, controllably on liftoff, and I could just feather the throttle and just keep that under control. And the rear wheel steering system helped it tuck into that curve as well. I've got to try that again. It's flat, it's fluid, it's ridiculously fast. It's 5,200 pounds. How? Attempting to break this down, the S8 has a torque vectoring rear limited slip differential. So I can not only get the power to the wheel with the grip, but even in situations where I overdrive that tire, I have this fine-tuned control over the amount of rotation. And the rear wheel steering system allows me to tuck in neatly to curves and virtually lengthen that wheelbase, which is already very long. So I've got this stability and the body just stays so flat without adaptive suspension. The only thing I didn't absolutely love about this giant sedan working through those curves was the steering feel. It was faint. Yes, it was quick, but mostly it was visuals and the body rotation that was telling me what was going on. It wasn't the buildup of resistance through the rack. That could be improved, but everything else is just absolutely class-leading from a dynamic standpoint. Now let's talk about the other things this S8 does quite well. First, let me go back into that Comfort Plus drive mode to cruise on these highways. I'll set the adaptive cruise control and make sure we've got the lane keep going, yes. And let me just show you, hands off the wheel just for a moment here, how it stays in the center of the lane, even on a curve. And of course, me not having to work the gas or brake here with the adaptive cruise. It's not a hands-free system, so it's gonna want my hands back on the wheel, but these adaptive safety features are really handy if you're gonna be in a commute every day, just reducing that fatigue. But more importantly, let me quiet up for a moment. You can listen to this cabin volume at these speeds. It's hard not to sigh audibly when driving the S8 on the highway. It's just built for German autobahns, carrying lots of speed, keeping you comfortable. The cabin is so quiet, even over that louder road surface back there. You heard some more tire noise, but nothing too intrusive. The wind noise is hard to discern at all, and the cabin is just incredibly well insulated. It is a perfect commuter vehicle. Get that massaging seat going and just enjoy whatever distance you have behind the wheel. Hopefully not longer than an hour at one time, because the seats, again, need more padding. There is just one warning I would have for driving the S8 on the highway, and that is that if you don't use the adaptive cruise control system, then you'll just be keeping your foot in the throttle and everything is still quiet and comfortable as it always has been at 70, and you'll look down, you're doing 85. And you have no idea unless you're looking at the speed, and especially without a head-up display in this vehicle. I'm sorry, officer, I just had no idea. Before I dive into pricing and competition, I'll visit the top speed and fuel economy. Top speed for the S8 is limited to 155 miles per hour, and the fuel economy is 15 mpg city, 22 on the highway, and 18 combined. The starting price for the S8 is $122,000. This one, as tested, once again, is $142,000. Competitors include the BMW 760i xDrive, that's also $122,000. It makes 536 horsepower, gets to 60 in 4.2 seconds, and has fuel economy of 20 combined mpg. Then there's the Mercedes-Benz S580. That's $129,000. It makes 496 horsepower, gets to 60 in 4.4 seconds, and also has fuel economy of 20 combined. Among those options, yeah, the S8 is going to be the most reserved stylistically, but it's the most vivacious dynamically. And ride quality is going to be consistent pretty much across the board. I think the 7 Series might have it right now for ultimate ride compliance and seat comfort. Also, that and the S-Class have more bells and whistles than this car. But it really depends on your personality when choosing a big sedan like this. If you're not that flashy and you really prize ultimate driving dynamics while still getting great content in a big sedan like this, but if you want more pomp and circumstance and maybe a little more comfort, a few extra features, then go for the 7 Series or the S-Class. Which would you guys choose? S8, 760i, or S580? Let me know in the comments, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this POV drive review, and I will see you again next time.